Hello, Don. You're on mute. I just want to let you know. Let me start then. I just want to let you know that I just finished cooking dinner. I'm going to eat real quick and then I'll be right back. Well, like I said, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Greg, go ahead and eat your dinner. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. I've got the slide deck ready, and but I wanted to get this open.
You got it. Thank you,
All
sir. Okay. We're going to talk about missing drones, runaway drones. That's kind of one of our topics today. You're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll look around, see what I can find.
Yeah, I just don't know what to tell you on that one. If I was still at Houston Wire, I would be glad to cut you a sample. I'm sure most of them would. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I really can't help you on that one. So.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks, Don.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
What you need? You can't be in me on. You have a feeling. You can't be me on all the time. Hey, Ken, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you been, buddy? I think you're on mute.
How about that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can barely hear you. I don't know. I don't know if I need to turn my speaker up. Well, let's see. Not that.
I'll try this. Yeah, I never can keep track of what time your time is as compared to what our time is. So I kind of check in early.
Sometimes I just Google it.
Yeah.
I just Google what time is it in Houston. I'll Google, or what time is it in Louisiana?
Well, that's what I just did.
That's why I
with my
put 5
smartphone.
because Arizona is weird anyhow. We don't we don't change times like everybody else.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that, and that's why I get
You know what?
confused
I know what
about
I
it.
need to do. I need to set up, hang on a second. I got mine all screwed up now. Let's see. Not that. Reading. Let me restart this thing here.
Okay, now I got it working.
I got to hook up an external speaker. That's what I forgot to do. It's not you, it's my own situation here. All right. How about that? Do a test.
Pardon me?
Oh, perfect, perfect. So let me throw this up here. Oops, that's not what I want. Checklist. Hold on a second. Oh, this is what I want. Okay. This is what we're going to be talking about today.
Scanio?
Yeah. Sitting up in the mountains or on top of somebody's house. Who knows where the hell it is?
Yeah, well, down here, it's pretty level looking for stuff. It's just the trees that end up being your issue.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't have too much. That's not so much of a problem. Hey, thanks for sending me that community coffee. I'm still drinking it. I've got just a little bit left out of that bag you sent.
Yeah.
And then I go back to Dunkin' Donuts coffee after that.
Well, Community's got a website if you want to order it.
No, I'm good. I buy Dunkin' Donuts. It comes in a pretty good size orange container, plastic container, and I like the coffee. It's good. Community is really good. It's a little on the strong side. I'm not used to drinking that strong of coffee, so I have to use more cream and more Splenda in it. But I still like it. I still drink it.
Yeah, you've been away from the Chaffly River too long. That's the problem.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee. I'm allergic to caffeine, so I haven't had a cup of coffee in about 40 years, I guess.
Really?
And I may have outgrown it, but I've gotten used to living without it, so I just don't drink it.
Oh, I can't start my day unless I have at least 2 cups of coffee. That's how I get started every day.
Well, I was a young man and I was having troubles with my stomach, and I went to my doctor, and he said, well, how much caffeine do you use? And I said, well, I have a cup or 2 of coffee in the morning and then maybe a soda pop at lunch. He said, try going to decaf. So I went to decaf and it worked great for a while. And then about 6 months later, it came back with a vengeance. Decaf is not caffeine free. There's generally about 10 to 15% of the caffeine in decaf that you get in regular coffee.
Right, right.
So I just said, screw it. I gave it up, and I really didn't have a hard time getting off of it, and I really don't miss it. Although it's, you're in a social function and everybody drinking coffee, it smells so good. But
yeah, but did you substitute that with Coca-Colas?
nope, no, I don't drink soft drinks. I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I like to flavor it occasionally with scotch, I just stay away from all that stuff. My body is a temple that is falling down rapidly. So I'm doing everything I can to try to take care of it.
I can relate. Hang on a second. Yeah, one of the things I've done recently in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so is pretty much giving up on alcohol is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't drink a lot anyhow. So on occasion I'll drink a beer or have a drink or margarita or something, but basically I don't sit around and drink all the time. Football games and stuff. So I'm pretty much giving it up almost. I don't buy
as far as football games or social functions, I've definitely given it up because I don't want to wear my shoes out back and forth from the seat to the men's room. You got a 76-year-old prostate you're dealing with that you want to drink beer, you got to be pretty close to the men's room.
I hear you. I mean, yeah, I hear you. So yeah, we were in Europe a couple of years ago, and what I found was they don't have bathrooms everywhere.
Right.
I learned real quickly that if I come across one, just go anyhow. Whether you just went 5 minutes ago, go again.
Yeah.
You never know when the next one's going to be.
Yeah. Well, my mantra is never pass up a men's room. You take it every chance you get.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a 4-year-old grandson, and maybe 6-8 months ago, his mom wanted me to take him to the men's room because he had always been to the ladies' room. So we went in the men's room, and he was just fascinated by the urinal. So I lifted him up and let him do his business, and then I set him down, and he was standing there about head high with my pecker, and I started tinkling, and he looked up at me and said, "Papa, why are you so slow?" I said, "'Cause I'm old." That's my standard answer for just about everything.
And I'll tell you, I'm starting to feel it. I hit 72 in November, and I'm starting to feel it. I don't have the balance that I had before, and things like I had to crawl. I was on top. Bob Gazowski is right here. He was with me a couple of days ago. I had to go to the top of the school building to look for this drone, top of a gym. And it was way the hell up in the air, a lot of stairs, a lot of ladder climbing. And I wasn't comfortable with it, but I kind of just forced myself to do it anyhow because I'm being pressured to find a stupid drone.
Yeah.
But yeah, with balance, I have to be careful anymore with that.
Well, you should have had a second drone with you and flown that up there to see if it was there.
Well, that's exactly what we've been doing. We'll talk about that. But it's hard to see anything when you got hundreds of solar panels up there. You physically have to go up there and just look around.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that. That's a big issue down here now. We got probably the largest concentration of petrochemical industry in Louisiana of any state in the nation.
Right.
There's a lot of pressure to transition away from that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of rural land that is leased to farmers, and they're coming in and building these solar panel fields out there.
Okay.
And the farmers are all up in arms about it because the people who lease the property for the solar panels are, they can pay more. They got a bigger cash flow stream to work from than the farmers do. So the farmers are saying, we're being pushed out of business. Well, North Louisiana is being depopulated, so I don't think that's an issue. But I'm not a farmer. I'm not dealing with that. But that's a big concern down here in the agricultural community.
Well, where are they building these solar farms? Are they leasing farmers' lands to build them?
Right. Yeah, they lease the land, and in West Baton Rouge Parish, right across the river here from Baton Rouge, there are a couple of huge facilities out there, and they're coming on strong here because of the demand for alternative energy, and it's cost effective. Obviously, they wouldn't be spending the kind of money they're doing to build them. Up in the eastern part of the boot, out toward Hammond and out in that area out there.
Yeah, I know what that is.
All of that's being grown over. Some of the areas where they have less tree coverage, obviously, you don't have to clear the land. And the thing the farmers are concerned about is that from years and years ago, they're the ones that cleared the land, but they don't own it. And if the property owners can make more money and the lease expires, well, it's a no-brainer. It's the standard.
Any wind farms, Ken? I haven't seen any wind farms in Louisiana. I know Texas has them all over the place now.
We, not to my knowledge, onshore, but there's, the offshore oil industry has all of the expertise necessary to design, build, and install offshore wind platforms. I don't know if you're aware or not, but there's a basically what amounted to a test facility off the New England coast, maybe Rhode Island or one of those states, and they put this offshore field of wind energy devices up there, and it's going great guns. And a lot of the engineering and design and construction was done by Louisiana companies, because they have all that expertise.
Okay.
They've been working offshore for almost 100 years now. And so there's a lot of serious discussion now about putting them out in the Gulf. And the only real concern is that all of the crap that's got to go up to them and away from them, the shrimp farmers are raising hell, they're going to tear up their shrimp nets. But progress is always going to be fought by somebody.
Right. Are you say you're in Gonzales, I think?
I was in Gonzales. I was a member of the Gonzales squadron. I live in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
But we recently moved to Zachary,
Okay.
which is north of Baton Rouge, because my youngest son, the only one of my children who has any grandkids, or has any kids, so that's where our grandkids are. So we moved up here. And we had a really good scheduling issue. We moved the weekend that Hurricane Ida came through here.
Oh, great.
We loaded on Saturday and Sunday morning in the rain. The storm came through Sunday night, and we cooled our heels on Monday because everything was shut down on Monday. The one truck delivered on Tuesday, but it was a diesel truck. You could still get diesel. And of course, every time, somebody says hurricane down here, everybody goes and fills up and the gas station's closed.
Right.
So one of the other truck that we were required to move was gas, and they couldn't get any gas, but they finally got that in on Wednesday. So you hadn't lived until you moved out of a house that you lived in for 36 years and moved in the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah, and I think you flew a lot of sorties, didn't you? You guys flying the 182, taking a lot of photos for FEMA.
The wing did a lot of work. I only personally flew one sortie because I was tied up in the move. I just, my wife's not real concerned about me being in CAP, but I think my kids and my wife both would have been a little bit upset if I'd have said, well, I'm gonna go fly airplanes this week. So I flew one mission, but I see Mike SWR's on here also. I mean, the hurricane came right over his house too, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. So, well, anyhow. So do you guys have any assets? I know you're out of the Baton Rouge squadron. Do you guys have any assets out of your squadron that you're flying, the drones?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. When I got up there, I knew they didn't have a drone and didn't have anybody who was interested in it. And so I asked our squadron commander, if we could get Mike to come up and make a presentation. And he's scheduled to come up on the 24th to make a presentation about that. And I understand he's bringing us a drone when he comes up for that meeting, unless something's changed in the last day or so.
Okay, good deal. Now, we just got back from Yuma. We've had a lot of people in Yuma having interest. So Brett Seidel and I end up driving to Yuma. It's like a 3.5 hour drive. And we spent the night at a friend of mine from my hometown, Krotz Springs, a guy I went into service with, lives in Yuma. So we stayed at his house and we did training, and we had a pretty good training program going. Hello, Michael. And so we came back. We made 4 new pilots over in Yuma, but we're still having a problem extending the program out of Phoenix. It's just been a real problem.
Well, I know from my point of view, and this is just my one man's opinion, we don't have a real world mission. So it's really tough to get people motivated when that's the situation.
Exactly.
I keep AP current, and I fly all the time with other stuff around here for AP because, we got something we really have to do. And when you've got, pardon the expression, so much bullshit you got to put up with to make the thing work in the first place.
Yeah.
Then you don't have a real world mission. I can see where it'd be tough to get motivated for it. Now,
I thought that was your favorite part, the paperwork. I thought that was your favorite.
Yeah, it's like the sign in the toilet says the job ain't finished till the paperwork's done. Did y'all have any problem with deconfliction with Marine Corps Air Station when you were in Yuma?
No.
They're still active down there, right?
We're flying outside of the controlled airspace, just outside. That's that you bring it up. That's an issue. Because Yuma doesn't have access to Lance, so at some point we're gonna have to send it up the chain, since National says they would coordinate at airports that don't have Lance. I don't know if anyone's already had to do that yet, but any lessons learned would be useful for us in AZ Wing.
Yeah. Well, having been a Marine aviator myself, naval flight, I'm aware that the cowboy syndrome is alive and well in my Marine Corps, and so you got to watch out for those guys. But of course, y'all live out there in cowboy country, so maybe it's not a problem for you.
Well, we appreciate high energy that Cowboys got.
High energy, yeah, that's a term. I have to remember that one.
Hey, Greg, just chat,
Yes.
just cutting in here. Did you get my message?
Haven't looked at emails since I had dinner, so.
No, just in the chat. I was hoping you
Oh.
could enable file sharing for this meeting. I have like 3 files I wanted to throw in chats relevant to the
I
discussion
didn't
tonight.
think I had it shut down, but let me find the command for that.
Sending Michael Hill a note right now because I don't see him. I know he wanted to be here. I think a lot of people are confused about what time it is when it's 5 o'clock in Phoenix. And
It
people are not,
depends on the time of the year.
yeah, and I'm telling them, look at Google. Just Google. What time is it? You know, is it 1 hour ahead or 1 hour behind? Just Google it and it'll tell you.
Right.
So Michael Hill had commented, hey, is Michael Hill here?
I haven't seen him yet. I
Not
just
yet.
looked.
So he commented the other day that to me on a private email that we should be just having these meetings as the DOUs only. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to get interest from other people. Other people want to feel like, you know, they want to be included in the meetings so they can understand what's going on also. Maybe they're trying to grow their knowledge. I said right now, out of 6 states, we typically have maybe 14, 15 members present. And some of the DOUs are not even present. So I said, we can do that. We can have a separate region, a DOU by wing meeting, but I think it's important to invite other members that may be interested as well. Then you start shielding people out and they're like, well, hell, they're not flying any missions. I'm not included in any meetings. What good am I? So I think it's important to have these meetings at least quarterly.
Yeah. Mike, I hate to tell you, your voice sounds like a chipmunk.
Something's happening, Mike, with your speaker.
You sound like a chipmunk. You might want to drop and rejoin. Or at
Double
least
check
lose
your
your audio
microphone
and
settings.
come back in.
No, it's still happening. Don, I'd say I'd agree with that. General outreach meeting like what we've been having.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, come on, to especially squadrons that are just piquing their interest, come on out to our, monthly. And then, but then separately, I think what Mike's getting at, and you'll agree, is a more hardcore planning meeting between DOUs.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I mean, we tried having meetings within the state of Arizona. Brett really works very hard to try to have meetings and get people together. And he was having a problem. I mean, we had the same 3 or 4 people every meeting. So it's I don't know. I don't want to add a lot more meetings because we're all pretty much zoomed out after 2 years of this now.
I got to say, part of it's if I was able to rework the marketing a little bit, I think we could get more interest. But I definitely appreciate that the Southwest region meetings have all these, top performers and has a strong draw. So that's definitely the meeting to come to for sure.
So yeah, if you notice, I sent the meeting notice out to everybody. Brett, I had lost my email chain list, and you sent it to me. Thank you for doing that. And I notified everybody on that list that if you're not, to attend this meeting, and if you haven't received a meeting notice in the last 3 months, contact your DOU. Maybe he doesn't know who you are. So I'm not going to do that again. But in fact, this will probably be my last meeting. The new Southwest Region Commander, whoever that's going to be, coming up before too long, will decide when he wants to have the frequency of the meetings.
Who is that going to be?
It hasn't been determined yet. I haven't had that discussion yet with the Southwest Region DO. I'm going to be having that discussion pretty soon, though.
Copy that.
So,
Guys, excuse me.
Greg Collins is Deputy DOU. If you don't know that, Deputy DOU, and has been for a couple of months before the holidays, accepted that position. So we wanted someone on the eastern side too. So I don't want Arizona to run this program. We're doing everything over here, and it's just, I think it needs to kind of be spread around a little bit. So, and now Greg has been very gracious, letting us use his Zoom for the last 2 years. He's been pretty much at every meeting possible. He's been to Camp Atterbury for training. So, I had a talk with the folks in here in region, and they said, yeah, Greg Collins is fine. Let him be the deputy DOU, and he can handle pretty much questions that arise from pretty much from the eastern side, especially. Kind of spreads it out a little bit. So, and Greg will be talking today. I mean, like right now, Brett, we have what, 5 people here?
Yeah, I'm just the audience here. I'm wondering if anyone hasn't used Wimmers, I don't want to preach to the choirs, basically.
Yeah, I'm doing a totally different thing here. In my update that I'll give you guys tonight, you'll see I've been having great success. I'm hosting my own monthly meetings, and we've get a good draw.
Good. And that's what we should do. This is not my program. This is our program. So everybody's got to do what they need to do. Matter of fact, I was instructed when I was given my position that I am to be the instructor and make rules for the program.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the person that will get the information and spread the information out, the POC, the point of contact.
Mhm.
And Austin since then has asked that we kind of run things through the channel. So if there's questions that maybe you can hit Greg with or hit myself with, instead of going to Pedro or Austin, let's see if we may have an answer already for you. So we try to channel things through the chain of command. So.
Greg, I just wanted to pop in. I think the file share may roll over to the next time the Zoom meeting starts.
Okay, it might. What I can do on that is, let's see, make you host. Now see if you can share.
All right, stand by.
Sharing here, Brett. Humper up here, good deal.
I can't. I was just testing with my personal Zoom, and I guess I have everything enabled, and it just lets me throw them right in there. Let's see, advanced. No, I can't share a file. Well, can always just send out an email, I suppose,
Yeah.
with the files.
Yeah, and I can't take back host, so just to let you know.
Oh,
that's all right.
nice.
Once I assign someone host, it basically gives them the full control. Okay. I can't believe I can't share. No, it won't let me share either. So it probably goes to the next meeting. I did modify the meeting to do that. So.
Okay.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. We have 11 folks on here. And that's what I was, my point, Michael Hill, when I sent you a response to your comment, which it's a valid comment, but again, it's all of our program. It's not my program, but I want to try to include as many people as we have. So for 6 states, we have 11 people on board today for this meeting. And I think that's just, I don't know what else to do. I'm kind of at wit's ends. And with that, I'm going to have a conversation with Southwest Region pretty soon, because I think it's time to turn the reins over to someone else. I've been doing this in May. It'll be 3 years already that we've been doing this. We've had these meetings now for 2 years, or right at 2 years. We've been conducting Zoom meeting or Zoom training. So I'm ready for some fresh blood, and I hope that someone else can pick up the ball, whoever that person may be, and get it rolling faster than I've been rolling it. So we've come through a lot of obstacles and a learning process, and so we'll see where it goes. But that's not what this meeting's about. This meeting I called because I think we need to be meeting once a quarter, and this will satisfy this. I think the next meeting is January, February, March. And I think sometime early April, we would have another meeting, maybe the second week in April. That would be like going into the second quarter. So we could all get together again at that time.
Isn't that when the national conference is?
I really don't know, Michael. Caught me off.
Maybe it's best to do it after the conference.
That's fine too.
That way we'll have a lot more to talk about,
Yeah, we're going to have a new Southwest Region DOU, and he can make that determination at that time.
Yeah.
So we'll look for that. So I think most people are aware of this situation that I had a called, wait, let me do screen sharing again. Whoops. The lost drone. So on November 13th, we had received an email from Austin for those of us that have the Skydio X2Ds to do a software upgrade. And at that time, that particular morning, Brett and I had trained some people out at Deer Valley Airport area with our Skydio, and Brett was doing some operations. I was working with cadets flying our drone here, which the other one again is in Texas. And I wasn't operating the drone. The cadet was operating the drone, and I couldn't tell if the drone was being squirrely or he was being squirrely. So we completed our flights that morning. So that evening I had dinner and I decided, okay, let me go ahead and do this software update. So sitting in my garage, it's now 7 p.m. It's dark outside. And let me get out of this screen sharing real quick.
You're out of screen sharing.
Am I not screen sharing right now?
No, you're not.
Okay, let me X this out. Okay. So I'm sitting in my garage, which I have a table out there. And sometimes I'll fly the drone right there in my driveway, just checking things out, making sure everything's working. So that's what I did. So I powered the drone up, powered the controller up, and I decided I'd fly it over my driveway, just make sure everything's working as normal. I went ahead and went through all the settings, and I'm writing down all my settings because it's nighttime. I want to be careful. And my purpose was to launch it, bring it back down, and do the software upgrade because it's supposed to be powered up for the software upgrade. Michael Hill's done his. So during that time, the drone went up. I had the strobes on. The drone ended up climbing to like 15 or 20 feet right when it launched. I held the launch buttons, so it went up. And from there, it's up there. And I'm kind of like freaking out. I'm like, oh, wait, that's not supposed to happen like that. It's only supposed to go up to 8 or 10 feet and hover and wait for further commands. And it's all supposed to do a 360 in the guide. If you read it, the night settings, I had set it on night. So I'm just trying to be careful, not intentions to fly, but to test it. Well, the drone, short story is the drone takes off and flies away. So I am, let's see, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this or I'm not sharing?
No, you're not sharing.
Not sharing. Okay, let me, I don't know why it's giving me launch meeting again. Hold on a second. Let me see what's going on here. I lost, okay, here we go. Screen share. Okay, but y'all saw the flyer that I had up right a while ago?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, you saw that. Okay, you should see this, right?
We don't see anything.
You don't see anything? I hit screen sharing. What the heck? Okay, I don't know what's going on there. I'm afraid to exit out of the meeting and you're not seeing anything. Let me close out some things here. Get some things off of my screen.
I think Greg has to fix something because it's moving to whoever's talking.
Oh, that's automatic.
That's your settings.
That's
Okay.
actually on your settings. If you do multi-view, it's going to have a yellow box over who's talking. But the sharing, anybody can share and anybody can take over sharing.
Well, for some reason, I'm having a problem with sharing, but nonetheless, let me just tell you what happened. So anyhow, the drone goes up. It's set to 100 feet maximum altitude, 100 feet return, 13 miles per hour return speed. The drone flies away, goes north of me. So if you've been to my house, I live about 2.5 miles from a mountain range, which is about a 550 foot high above ground mountain range. So the drone heads that direction. But before it goes there in transit, it has to cross a large high school complex, probably 100 acres of high school complex. It goes by a football field in those 100-foot tall light towers, goes through that. When it gets to the light towers, all of a sudden my strobes went out. Well, meanwhile, I was literally running down the street, hitting return to home, trying to work the sticks. Nothing is working. And within a block of my house, I got a signal disconnected from the controller. Do you hear me, Greg?
Yep. We heard
Yes.
you just fine.
So So about a block from my house, it said disconnected from controller. So I knew that I had lost the drone. And again, I'm running through the neighborhood, trying to chase it, trying to see what direction it's going. So I know that it went across the high school and onto the mountains out there. So the next morning, I'm up early. It's a Sunday morning. I'm up early. I'm all over that school grounds and the stadium, looking through the stadiums, looking everywhere around that area. So talking to Pedro, and Pedro called Skydio, they said that drone probably.
You talking to me?
We're just talking to everybody.
I'm talking to everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They said that drone would have stayed at 100-foot elevation and flew all the way to the mountain, 2.5 miles away from my home. So with that, we have created along that mountain an area which would have been, considering it impacted the mountain because it didn't have visual avoidance, obstacle avoidance at that time because it was nighttime. So that was disabled. So it hit the side of the mountain, they suspect. So we've covered an entire swath of area, probably about three quarters of a mile long and about 150 foot wide. Imagine just a swath all along the hill. And we divided that into sections, areas, and we've been flying that area and taking photos and bringing the photos home and blowing them up on the computer. And you can actually see a matchbox. These cameras are really good. I'm doing that with my own personal Phantom 4. So that happened. So since then, on my initial call to Pedro, he said, we've never heard of anybody having any problems at all. Well, that next morning, I called Michael Hill, because I know he's an authority on these drones. I also called Michael Penko, because it was Sunday morning, and I knew that I can't reach anybody from Cap National. So talking to those guys, Michael has said that, yeah, they can be a little bit squirrely. We had some conversation. Panko said he wasn't aware of any problems. So later, as we're going into the week now, I talked to Cap National. I sent a total email on everything that happened, the drone settings, everything to Cap National for them to look at it. And they honestly haven't given me a lot of guidance on what I should be doing. So I've kind of been on my own. Brett's been helping me. Brian Tuchek's been helping me with that. And of course, Michael Hill. And so that's what's going on. So what did I do that I should have done when I lost a drone? Well, one of the first things I should have done, besides freaking out, I'm going to tell you, when you see a $7,000 drone fly up and fly away, it's your adrenaline is going to be pumping, and mine was. In fact, as a 72-year-old, I don't run anymore. I jog sometimes, but I don't run. But I found that I can continue. I can still run. I was running as fast as I could, surprising myself, through the neighborhood, trying to keep eyes on that drone. And it wasn't easy at 100 feet because it was going behind houses. It was hard to see it. And so anyhow, so I ran looking for the drone, trying to observe the direction of the drone. So that happened. So the very next day, so what have I should have done? The first thing I should have done was call the FAA. I failed to do that. And I didn't realize that till probably the next day. That should have been the first thing, because I am pretty near Class D area, Deer Valley Airport, but not that far. And the direction that drone was going, guess what? It was going toward Deer Valley Class D airspace. So that was the first mistake I made. Well, that was the biggest mistake. We all make
biggest, not the first, but the biggest.
Yeah, it was the biggest mistake, because they really needed to know about that, because they could have, if I had called them, they could have at least maybe diverted the aircraft from, from maybe this entering from the south. Maybe they could have had them enter from the north, go around, could have diverted traffic away from the scene for maybe 30 minutes, because I had a full battery. So that drone, if it did go through some separations in the mountains here, it could have gone as much as 7 miles, which would have been right in Deer Valley airspace, right through Deer Valley approach area from the west. So things to think about, what do you do? So I was sent today from one of the guys in Indiana, one of the DOUs from Indiana, a whole list of things that we should do that were given to him by Joel Shrehan, who works with Austin and Pedro. He's out of Georgia. He's a civilian. He's a CAP member. And I'm going to send that out to all the DOUs So you'll have this information, what to do if, and there's all the steps. And I'm not going to go through all that today. Take an hour to do that. So I'll send that out to you guys.
I put an Apple AirTag on mine.
So funny you should say that. So this is an Apple AirTag.
Yep.
So my wife, who's always smarter than I am, and if you haven't seen this, I'm going to take it off and show you. This is an Apple AirTag. It's just a little white thing, not about the size of a 50-cent piece.
Great device.
So we have pretty much decided we're not going to fly these aircraft because they are squirrely, and we've learned a lot more about that now that I'm talking to Skydio engineers. This is not the first time this has happened.
Right.
We're going to be flying our Skydios or expensive equipment with an AirTag on or some sort of a tracking device.
Yep.
So they're $25 a piece if you buy 4, or $29 if you buy 1 only. And I put Velcro in all I have 3 drones here. I put Velcro on all of them. So we'll fly, anytime I fly, I'm gonna put that, I'll swap it from one to the other.
And they have their own power source is the great thing. So it doesn't matter if you lose battery power on your UAS, you can find it with any iPad or iPhone.
Yes, and it's on my iPhone. There's an area, find my iPhone. It's right there. If I punch that, I can see where my wife is located, my daughter's located, or where my dog or my drone is located. And it'll take it down to a T. So I've written a letter since to Pedro and Austin, haven't got any response. Why aren't we buying things like this? We're buying $7,000 drones, and we're not taking care to make sure if there is a flyaway. This is not my first flyaway. The very first time I flew the Phantom that we received a couple of years ago, Lieutenant John Moore and I had a flyaway that very first time we launched the aircraft. I had a flyaway when I lived in Austin with my own personal drone. I had a flyaway. We've had several drone to controller contacts lost and radio signals lost that sometimes it picks back up again, sometimes it doesn't. So don't ever assume that you're flying your piece of equipment, it's all good and everything's fine. Always be prepared that drone could fly away, and know what you're going to do when that happens.
One comment, instead of Velcro, because Velcro is not the strongest. There's a product put out by 3M called Dual Lock.
That's what I used.
And the Dual Lock will hold 150, 250 pounds of force. So you can do so even on the fixed wing aircraft, you can do a nosedive into the ground. That AirTag will not come off at that point.
Okay, I actually have some Dual Lock out in my garage. I have some of that. I'll think about that. So I just wanted to let you guys know that be careful. Greg, did you want to talk more about flyaway drones?
Yeah, I actually put together a short, just the basics on what we really should be doing. And this is something, it's very similar to what a lot of companies do. And as you said, when it happens to you, you're going to panic. You're going to have a heart attack, basically, when you see a $30,000 drone flying away from you. The biggest thing is keep calm. You should have an observer with you already. So the observer should be known that we have a flyaway situation. The very first thing you should do, release your sticks if you're holding on to the control. Make sure it isn't something you're doing, something that you caused it to fly away. If you're in automated mode, turn off the automation if possible. Cancel it. Activate your return to home. See if it will come back to you. If that won't work, on the Skydios, press the land button, land now. That will make it land wherever it is. If you're running a DJI, bring those control sticks center and down. Kill the power to it.
Yeah, if it's set for that, part of your pre-flight should be making sure that it's set to that.
Right. But yeah, kill your power, do an emergency stop, whatever your drone has, the land button. Just get it where you have getting it out of the air as soon as possible. If it continues to fly away, have your observer. He should be maintaining visual contact already. Note the bearing it's headed, the altitude, how much remaining power. Get that from the controller. That way you can give your estimate on how far it can go. Also the airspeed it's going, if you can get it. Do all of that. If you know it's going to go into an area that, say you're flying at an RC park, tell them to get clear the area because you don't want to hit one of their aircraft. Basically reducing the possible impact on property and people. Note the last known GPS time, remaining flight time, estimate your remaining flight time, the altitude, speed, contact air traffic control. And I did put in there not only via phone, but if you have an aircraft radio with you, contact them on the aircraft radio. That's an air emergency.
I'm sorry to disagree with you. That is against FAA regulations. You cannot do that. As a remote pilot, you cannot do that.
By FCC rules, any emergency you can get on any frequency.
Sorry, I disagree with you.
That's actually within FCC regulations. Maybe not FAA, but FCC.
Yeah.
I can get on a police channel and call for help if I had to. But if you can't get on, if you're in an area that has no phone and all you have is radio, whatever you need to do, phone preferably. If you're on a mission, contact the incident commander or have someone in your group contact the incident command. Let them know what's going on. If you're just flying a self-training mission where you don't have an incident command, it's not really in a mission, let your DOU, your state DOU, know, your wing. So they know what's coming up and it doesn't blindside them. If you have other individuals in the vicinity, make sure you notify them that you have a flyaway, a possibility of an aircraft hitting something. Continue to maintain visual observation of the aircraft as it's going on, and keep ATC notified. Let one thing I forgot to put in here. Let your local law enforcement know what's going on. If it lands in someone's backyard, they're going to be calling 911 or contacting the local law enforcement possibly. That way they know what's going on and know what happened. Biggest thing, just continue to record everything you can about it. Notate, like Don said, all your settings, everything. If you can still see the link, but it's just not responding, and you're getting all your telemetry back, keep track of that telemetry as it's going on. And if at any time you regain control of that aircraft, land as soon as possible. If you're in an area where there's nothing around you, bring it down right there. If you have to fly it to a location where it's safe to land, do that, but land it as much quickly as possible. Mark the UAS as grounded once you have your hands back on it. Put a label on it, say grounded until further notice. What we call red tag. It's out of service. Once you have that, have the aircraft checked by the NOC. If they need to, they'll have, say, Skydio or the manufacturer check it out. If it's your personal aircraft, have your local service or manufacturer's service take a look at it, see what happened, try to determine the cause of the malfunction. That's all I really had. Any comments?
Yeah, I got a comment I'd like to add to this.
Mm-hmm.
So Don, you and I had multiple conversations about this, and I want to make it aware to everybody that Don, you did everything you could to maintain control of that aircraft outside of what CAP's requirements are that you have a technician. So I really believe that this was a malfunction with the Skydio. As most of you know, I know Skydio leadership really closely. I've had some conversations about the X2Ds with these. And Don, you did everything that you could to maintain, and you went far above trying to locate this asset after it crashed. So I have to commend you for putting so much energy and time into that.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Michael. And we're still
Yeah.
looking for it. I was on top of the school building 2 days ago. We looked through, I don't know how many acres of rooftop with solar panels looking for it. And then yesterday I was at the school bus barn, which they have 200 buses and a lot of equipment. We were going through all that yesterday. And tomorrow we will again start going back to the mountain to start flying. I'm doing a check ride for Brian Tuchek tomorrow for his check pilot. And we're going to go back to the mountain. And one of the things I'm going to do as a real life scenario is to have him photograph one of the areas that hadn't been worked on yet. So
why don't you do a ground sortie? Why don't you do a ground sortie and locate that aircraft? Because I'm telling you, like I shared with you, I think it's in pieces against that mountain, but do a ground sortie and search for that aircraft.
You would have to see where it is, Michael. And I was offered that by the ground team commander from the wing.
Yeah.
The area is so rugged, you just can't walk through it. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We have actually searched. There's a trail that goes all along the foothill of the mountain, and we've walked that. We've searched both sides of it.
Yeah.
We've had binoculars out there. We've done a lot of ground pounding as well. But as far as walking up the mountain up the hill, you can't do it. It's just really rugged territory.
Here's the second thing I'd like to add to this, and Don and I have had several conversations about this. You know, as I shared, I know the Skydio leadership, they would gladly have helped out with this. The problem is national headquarters, for whatever the reason may be, is not communicating with Skydio. And we've got to find a way to, I don't want to say educate, I don't want to, rain on their parade, but we've got to find a way that they'll acknowledge these things and go to the manufacturer, because Skydio has ways of finding that, might be a little late now, but that's something we really need to work on with Pedro to see how do we improve that, because Skydio would have stepped up, to help in locating this and whatever we needed.
Do we think it's a responsiveness issue, or do we think it's a a la carte charge and they don't want to pay for assistance issue?
Yeah, I said that to Don too, because I know Sydney, the account rep, and I said that as well too, that I think that maybe that's their understanding, but from talking to Skydio, that's not the case. They would have been all over this, because for them, it's about the R&D, finding out why it happened, because this was highly, highly unusual to lose communications like that. So for them, it was about trying to figure out why. So I agree with you, Brett. There is something there that's stopping headquarters from doing.
Well, I'll share with you something that I won't tell Pedro, and I hope you don't. But last week, when Brett, myself, and Brian were going to have a meeting about UAS issues and where we're going this year in planning and what have you, one of our engineers, CAP member, his name is Chris Dussard. Chris Dussard's involved in everything technical with CAP nationwide, pretty much. Yeah. So Chris just so happens to walk in the door, and he says, "Hey Don, I want to help you find that drone. Me and one of our senior pilots, we want to help you find that drone." He said, "Where do you stand?" I said, "Well, I got a couple of more search areas and I'm done with this. And I just can't, this has been 2 months I've been looking for this drone." He said, "Well, we want to help you find." So he started with me going through a lot of issues about, asking me technical questions or what have you. I said, I can't give you those answers. I'm not an engineer. I can't give you those answers. And I said, "We're not allowed to call Skydio." He says, "Well, I'm not allowed to call a lot of my companies that I deal with too on some of my technical stuff." But he said, "I just do it anyhow." I said, "If you want, Chris, you're the emergency services guy for the wing. If you want me to call Brian Morrell in Tucson from Skydio, I'll call him." And yes, we've been told not to call. So he says, "Call him." So I called Brian Morrell. He picked up the phone, and we had a good conversation. I said, "Chris Dussard would like to ask you some questions." So Chris hit him up with several questions, which I still don't have the answers for just yet. But we ended up calling Skydio, and we have brought them into it. And guess what? You told me that no one from Skydio knows anything about this. That's exactly what he told me. He said, "I talked to Josh who's the head instructor for the company every day. He said, Josh did not know any, we've talked again since then. He said, Josh didn't know anything about this. The company doesn't know anything about it. And yes, they want to know more about it. They want you to find that drone. They'll do anything to help you find that drone. And we had that discussion about, well, why can't we talk to you guys? Are you charging us? He said, no. He said, he says, you guys spent $500,000 with us on drones. He said, I will come up to Phoenix. If you have questions or you want some help with training, I'll come up and help you. I'm not going to charge you. I'll come up and help you promote your program. So a lot of that is BS we're getting from back east.
Yep.
You know, so
I heard the same thing from the CEO and the head of public safety at Skydio too. So I agree with you. There's some disconnect at headquarters.
If I'm called out on it, hey, my emergency services officer for the wing instructed me to call Skydio.
Yeah.
No,
Here's a thought. Do you think that's a toe the line, basically a message that they're sending out? Don't contact Skydio. So they're kind of preemptively stopping a shitstorm of phone calls to Skydio.
That's basically part.
Go ahead, Greg.
Part of it is that in the past, with the Elpers, we used to contact Eltronics all the time to have our own equipment repaired. Yeah. And there was a point in the 80s and 90s that they were getting inundated just with CAP people calling them with questions, or I have a problem with this, I need to send it in to get it repaired, and they're wanting it repaired for free. And they just didn't understand. And that's why National is a lot of times trying to preemptively have us go through them rather than go directly to the manufacturer. It's the same thing with the Beckers. When we first started getting Beckers, members were calling Becker directly, asking for that information. And Becker called down to National and said, you need to stop this. So we've had other manufacturers say, stop it. And they're just taking it as carte blanche. We don't want them contacting the manufacturers.
And I'll add this too. I talk to Pedro a lot, and that guy is overwhelmed.
Yeah.
He's got a lot on his plate. Okay. He's a great guy. He'll help you when he can, but he's got a lot on his plate. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, like Captain Collins says, they don't want to be inundated with a million phone calls for, hey, how do I put the battery in? And, you know,
right.
All those different things.
Can this do this setting?
But still, there should be some kind of triage ops, SOP or something that allows you to go to the wing DOU after notifying headquarters to, reach out to the manufacturer. There should be something we need in place. Maybe Don and Greg as the Southwest region DOUs, maybe that's something you need to figure out how to push, because this is going to happen again. There are known issues with X2Ds, and it's just going to keep happening. And no matter what platform we use, whether it's Instant-Eye or these or Phantoms or whatever, we've got to have a protocol that we can reach out and do this.
I might be able to help there. So every good project needs a good name. I learned that after watching a movie about Winston Churchill. So Operation Dynamo, right? So if we're talking about opening up a kind of a secret channel to Skydio, maybe it could be Operation Red Telephone or something like that. Right?
We need something. Yeah, we need something, because I know those guys really well. And I talk to them off the record. And they want to be all over this because it's their business. Like Don said, CAF spent a lot of money on this. They want to support us. But I just have to think there's some mitigating factors there. We need to have, that red line, so to speak, to be able to do that.
Right.
I am planning on having that conversation with Pedro. I'll be talking to him probably later this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that conversation with him because for Chris Dussard, who's he was one of the chief aerospace engineers for Honeywell, and he retired. We're very fortunate to have him in CAP. Chris has a lot of very technical questions. He needs to talk to Skydio, and that's a situation where I should be able to pick up the phone to Pedro and say, hey, look, I need Chris Dussard to talk to Skydio and get the blessings for him to do it. Chris Dussard does not want to go to Pedro and ask him a bunch of technical questions, and Pedro goes to Skydio and all this back and forth crap. That's bull.
Hey,
So,
Greg, I see your comment about the Air Force frequencies. They can and they do track those.
Well, I'm talking about the Phoenix helicopter.
I thought you meant in reference to
Yeah.
Skydio tracking.
No,
this
Skydio I know can do that,
Yeah.
but an independent third party trying to track this, they
Yeah.
may not have our frequencies
Yeah.
in the system.
Yeah, probably not.
I have a few comments on Greg's presentation, if I can kind of segue
Sure.
into that.
oh, yeah.
Okay, just
It was
the
a down
first
and
one
dirty.
well, I just wanted to mention a lot of what Greg talked about is encapsulated in the Texas Wing emergency checklists that
Yes.
were put out. And those are logged under the Google Classroom on emergency procedures. So you can find those, you can print those off and have them in your mission binder. And then second is Greg mentioned putting a ground the aircraft. And so Don actually took the grounded placard from the AIF and printed that out, right? So that's probably the best way to do it. Print out the grounded placard from the AIF on red paper and slip that in your UIF. It's a great way to do it. And if you hole punch it and reinforce it, you can tie it right off to the aircraft bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don, did you have a comment on that?
I just want to say, yeah, you said it. Put it in the AIF. That's where it belongs. But yeah,
Yep.
Pedro is busy, Michael. He has also taken on the AeroNet program.
Yeah.
So everything that Austin was doing, Pedro is now doing.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually okay with that because I feel like he's easier to talk to. He's accessible.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy. He's easy to
He
talk
is.
to. He knows more cuss words than any Navy guy I've ever. That's every
He's a good Chicago guy too. We've had a lot of conversations about that, but you're right. He's a great guy.
Anyhow, so we've
I still, well, I got cut across there. I still have two more things.
Go ahead, Greg. I mean,
So at first, Don mentioned that Skydio said that allegedly the X2D would keep its heading and travel continuously into the mountain. But then when we had that follow-up conversation with Mr. Morrell, everything we described to him, he said that indicated that it actually attempted to land in that night scenario. And so that's the reason for the return trip to the high school. So Skydio, different employees are giving us different information, and we're just not 100%.
I'll add to this. After that happened, I got my local Skydio rep to come out with me, and I took the X2D out, and it was doing that similar thing. And there's something in the software, and you have to catch it right away. But if you're looking at that controller, when it comes up to its ceiling height and it's ready for you to plot it to where it goes, if it's in that, and it does this quirky return to home mode, it gets confused and doesn't know what it needs to do. So if you're looking at your screen and you see that instantaneously that hits, you can cancel out of it. If it doesn't, it decides on its own what its protocol is.
Right. Yeah, and a similar situation that I've seen happen, and this I've seen with Skydio, the 2S, the blue one. If you have it in an automated mode, the Skydio 2 will actually fly that automated mode outside of your radio's capability. So if you plot it going out 300 yards on a automated mission, it's going to continue following that mission. It doesn't care if it has connectivity back to your hand controller or not, and it will just continue to fly it. So if you have an automated mission programmed into it, that's why I added that in. Cancel it out immediately if possible. Tell it to ground, return to home, whatever you need to do.
And I'll add to this, in my talks with Skydio, the issues that they've experienced are night flights. There are known issues with the X2D during night operations. So I believe that when you took off, Don, it got confused and it did not know what it needed to do versus vision versus GPS. But there are known issues with night flights with the X2D.
Okay.
Let me add this to that comment. So Brian Morrell did say that that drone, when it took off, it had some light. It was flying GPS night vision. It had some light in the area because we have street lights, we have house lights. But he said when it took off, it disconnected within a half a block from my house. I got that disconnected signal, but it went into a dark area. So it went from a somewhat lighted area, and he kept talking about 50 lumens. It needs 50 lumens. It can operate with GPS, no problem. But when it went into the dark area, to the school grounds and to the football field, he said the drone was confused. It's like, wow, I don't know what to do. And he says the first thing it did was turn off its lights, and it landed. And that's why I went back to the school and started my search again back at the school. He's looked at some of the buildings on Google Earth, and he told me where to go look, and I did cover all that.
I have to wonder about that because
to a dark area, it reacts different. And he says, we haven't tested that. We're going to be looking into that and learn more about it, but we haven't tested that.
Yep.
So
that's something I have to wonder about because, we talked about that was the last time you saw the lights on it.
Right.
Okay? So that's what, why I was asking you, did somebody find it? Did they pick it up? Because you lost lights at that point and it obviously was trying to land itself.
I really think no one found it because that was on a Saturday evening. Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, I jumped over 2 or 3 fences trying to get to the football field. I walked for hours out there in the stadium, throughout the school grounds. I don't think it was found. And that Monday morning, I was at the school principal's office making that report. I had already reported it to the police department. That's the other thing I didn't say I did, but I reported to the Glendale Police Department. So they were looking for it. The guy I was talking to, he owns a drone. So he had a real interest in it from the Glendale Police Department. So we just don't know. So I'm back. Anyhow, let's move on. Brett, are you done? If so, let's move on to the next subject.
Hey, Don, with the heading you were on, do you think you traversed the school building? Do you think you flew over the building?
Well, it was set for 100 feet. If it did continue to fly, it went over the school building or near the school building, flying north.
Why don't you go fly that rooftop?
I have been on that rooftop.
Yeah, he's been on it. Yeah.
We were in conversation 2 days ago. I was with they have an ROTC program, and the ROTC commander is a retired Air Force guy, and he has a drone. He loves drones. And Brett and I have been with him now. Brett was with me once on a search. And 2 days ago, I went to him. I said, I need to search the top of this building. He said, no problem. So he got the maintenance engineer, and we climbed to the top of the building, which was a gymnasium. It was way up in the air. And Paul, it's covered with solar panels. So we spent a lot of time looking under the solar panels, acres of solar panels up there. So I feel pretty comfortable it was not up there.
No worries.
So, yeah. But good observation. So the other thing we had on our agenda was I wanted to get a briefing from everybody because we've had Southwest region has now been shifted over to Arizona, and we haven't given any input into these meetings. They never asked for my input when Texas was running the Southwest region, the commander from there. But now that our commander from Arizona, Martha Morris, is asking for input also, we're still trying to figure out how do we submit information for them to talk about. So I did get an email back from Jared Hoff, and he says, I need to know, just tell me about what your wings are doing with the UAS program. Are they moving ahead? What are they doing? So I think what I'll have you guys do is just send me a note, just send me a brief note, and I'll forward that to Jared. He wants it to be very brief also. So if you know what your wing's doing, just send me a brief note on that.
Michael, I'll let you do that for Texas this time since I've been out for a little bit.
I got it. I made a bunch of changes here. I'm glad to share with you guys.
Yeah, you can send me something lengthy and I'll make it into a brief. I want to brief. So this will go into their February meeting. So we used the Southwest region meetings used to be, we called in and everybody was on Zoom and we all got to talk. Well, they would have six of the agencies, not agencies, but disciplines, emergency services, AE, whatever. They had 6 disciplines would talk about what they were doing, and it rotated. Every month it'd be somebody else the next month. Now they're not doing that. They're just having us send in information about what we're doing in whatever discipline we're in. And Jared is going to put that on paper and publish it That's what they're just doing things different here. So I need to send them some information, but I wasn't the only one that didn't report. Over half the groups didn't report because we're confused. We're not sure what we're supposed to be doing.
Yep, glad to do that.
Yeah, so we'll do that. So other than that, we all know that we should be filing a sortie before we fly our aircraft. And I just want Brett to just kind of brief us again on what that process looks like. I'm going to say that I've talked to most of the people that are DOUs around the country. I've got to meet people. I've been up to Atterbury twice. I've been to Maxwell Air Force Base. And I'm going to tell you that sometimes people are taking their equipment out in the backyard or in the field and just testing it, make sure it works. And that's exactly what I was doing that evening. So I'm not the only one. So it does happen, but just be aware, and you know that we're supposed to file a sortie. And if you do fly it, because that was the first thing that Austin asked, had you filed a sortie and had a mission number? I said, no, I was not planning on flying the drone, and I didn't need an FRO. All of our Skydio 2s that came here, I took them one at a time to the park, tested them all, because Brett's working, other people are working. I couldn't get other people. So people do fly their own drone. Just, a lot of people won't admit it, but I know they do because I've talked to them personally.
I do know that in Texas, when I've issued drones out in the past, one thing I specify to them, these are to be flown under a sortie only. Make sure you have a visual observer, otherwise, and a flight release. Otherwise, you're not supposed to be flying it at all.
They hadn't been doing that. I've threatened to ground them, the ones that do that.
Yeah.
That is technically totally correct, but I can tell you, I could name off a list of people, which I want, that I've talked to, including, I'll name Joel Shreehan, because he's all man. When Greg and I were at NIST recently, I got him aside, and that was one of the questions I asked him. Do you ever fly your drone by yourself without filing a mission? He says, I do it all the time. I said, that's all I want to hear. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So be careful if you do that, because you could run into the situation I'm in now.
Right. All right. Let me step in here then. Let's talk about missions. Let's talk about sorties, and especially let's talk about how to get out of using WIMRs if you don't actually need it. But first, I'll ask the group a question. What's the main risk that you face if you fly the drone without doing so under a sortie or as an AE mission?
Liability,
insurance, and also you could be held liable for the drone itself and have to pay for it.
Yep.
Absolutely correct. Can you guys imagine being held liable for a missing X2D or any of the equipment, because none of it's cheap? And so this is the question that everyone has to ask themselves if they want to cut corners, secretly. You are the liable party.
Right.
So, but when we start to talk about WIMRs, that was originally the guidance that we had. Hey, this is the only way to fly. You have to have a WIMR sortie, you have to have a flight release. But as we've dug further, and as many in this group know, you can also fly all of our aircraft under AE activities. And this has been confirmed by multiple people at National. And so this is how we're operating. It's all in the CAPF 160 and under the AE regulations, where you are insured also if you're in an AE activity. So before you consider doing WIMRs, think about this process here. So say you want to start an AE activity from scratch. And folks in this group, I know, are probably more familiar than a lot of people. So just bear with me if you already know what I'm talking about. Okay, so first thing, you determine if the activity will be at the unit, group, or wing level. And then the commander at that same level as the activity is considered the approving party and has the final say, go or no go. Okay, so then you want to plan an overview of your activity plan and give that to the commander at the appropriate level. So if it's something for your squadron, you're going to your squadron commander. You have multiple squadrons working together, you need approval from the group commander. This is working within the group. Okay, so if they say, thumbs up, you give them a general overview of what you're talking about, then you can begin further activity planning. And again, this is right out of the safety regulation, 160-1. Okay, so then the director of the activity, which is often us or maybe one of your subordinates, the director of the activity performs deliberate risk management and drafts a CAPIF 160. And I think if we did a show of hands, most everyone's interacted with a CAPIF 160. Okay, so this should be done in coordination with your safety officer. It's going to enhance the quality of your risk management, and it's going to ensure compliance with your wing's risk management policies. Now, I'll be frank, not every squadron has a dedicated safety officer that can always get with you. So it may just be you as the activity director doing it, and that's completely fine in the safety regulations. Okay, so then you want to ensure the land or property the aircraft will be launched from is available for use by corporate nonprofit entities or is permitted for use by CAP through specific arrangements. It's important, you know, we have the airspace, but you don't have the ground space in all cases.
In Texas, it's a felony if you don't have permission to launch and land from that property.
Absolutely. Great point to add in there. And you'll find it's probably a felony or a misdemeanor in other states as well.
Yep.
Okay, so then you have all those things dialed in. So then you want to submit the final activity plan and CAPIF 160 for approval and signature by either that commander at the appropriate level or the safety officer at the appropriate level or the activity director at the same level as the activity. So just practically speaking, if you're on, you know, speaking terms, basically you have a cordial relationship with the commander at that level, you generally can give them an overview and then they can imbue you as the activity director with the ability to sign off on your own activities. This is permitted within 160-1. In fact, it's encouraged because it's often assumed that the activity director obviously is most familiar with the risk management for that activity. So they say, yes, you can sign off on your own activity. Okay, but if folks from AZ Wing are listening, we actually have a slightly different process. And so it's okay. And so we have an electronic process and you actually need to get all the signatures from all the commanders, but it's automated. And so I actually have a video that walks through that, which I'll point to here in a minute. Now, cadets, because we all want to involve our cadets, according to the regulations, if cadets are involved from your squadron, you need to make sure that all of them have their 6080s signed. This is a permission slip for the activity. If cadets from other squadrons are involved, according to the regulations, you need to get permission from their parent, which is at 6080. You need to get permission from their home unit commander and the hosting unit. So you got to dial in. So everyone's on the same page that, yes, we're going to be responsible for this cadet. Okay, this is according to regulations. And then this is important now. So for recurring events, you need to make sure your CAPIF 160 remains updated to, because it's not just you submit it once, you make it once, and you're good for a decade. You continuously update the 160 for your activity, and you keep it on hand. Okay, so.
One quick comment, if you're going across wings, you're supposed to have the sending or the cadet's wing commander approve it also.
Okay, so that just adds commander.
Yeah, and if you're going across
unit,
regions, of course, then
unit.
you have region level approvals you need to.
So if you wanted to basically encapsulate everything that we've just discussed, this is again the Google Classroom
Hey,
for
Brad,
the classwork.
Excuse me, can I have you put that in the chat, that link, so I can follow along? Would you mind?
Link to?
Yeah, your Google Classroom there. I don't have it handy.
Yes, let's see here. All right, so folks, this link will work for you if you're already a member of the Google Classroom. And so you may have heard that we ran into some file sharing problems at the beginning of the meeting where I can't share through chat any files. And so that's why following this meeting, there's going to be an email sent out with basically a Word document, how to onboard Google Classroom. It's easy to share. And so once you're inside the classroom, you go to classwork and then you'll get down you'll scroll basically all the way to the bottom and you'll go to demonstration pilot specific. And then I have bonus sUAS AE activity planning. And so we have this checklist that I just ran through with everyone right here. And then there's just more kind of like FAQ questions that may arise as you're running an AE activity. And then I have a bunch of supporting files here attached at the bottom. Okay, so now you can have these recurring events, these AE events where you can fly drones, any, as far as we can tell, that have been assigned to us. So that's E386, that's the Uniques, that's the Skydios. They're all relevant to AE. That doesn't mean that, you know, someone who has a lesser training, maybe only qualifies for AE, is suitable for those drones. You always have to have a trained individual overseeing. Okay, and then the last part is you don't need a flight release on this because you're accomplishing the CAPF 160, you're getting all the permissions for everyone. You don't need WIMRs nor a flight release. Now, if that's not possible for you, say you're not able to set up these AE activities, you need something quick and dirty, and you need something right now, this is when you get into WIMRs. And, or if you're doing straight up operations stuff on the operations side of the house that does not gel with AE activities. And so there is a distinction. And as soon as you're doing SAR training, for example, this now moves into WIMRs exclusively. So we get over to operations and we go down to WIMRs. And here are the lists of all the missions that are available. Generally for your wing is the very first place that will pull up, and you'll see all of your missions laid out before you. You can see some of them: annual Form 591 evals, pilot proficiencies. But if you wanted to say peek at what Texas Wing is doing, which no doubt
Brett,
is in,
I've got one out there, 22-2481. If you want to look at it.
I don't want to dig into the missions, just a quick overview. And so, but if you did want to dig into Texas Wing, you would select them here on the filter, and then you can see date ranges, if you have specific mission numbers, types, all this stuff. But by default, it pulls up everything that's in your wing. And so generally you'll have this sUAS training and CAPF 5U and 91U mission. This is, from where I understand, set up by National. And so it's an annual mission with mission symbols C80 and C83. And so the mission symbols document has recently been updated as of November 2021. sUAS has a big fat section all dedicated to it. Just as a recap, C80 is sUAS CAPF 5U and 91U evaluations not designated as AFAMs, and C83 is training and evaluation missions. So you can imagine C83 is generally the one you'll be using the most for general training. Now let's go down a little further. Or first up, you could see this is a C mission, it's a corporate mission. And now in AZ Wing, we have this T mission, 22T 3518. So our operations officer approached us and asked about a gas budget. And our $1,000 in gas budget was now logged under this T mission as a B83 symbol. Okay, so B83 is sUAS training and evaluation missions paid with member or corporate funds. Now, why do we have two missions? Many here know, but so you can't fly most of the drones that we fly on an AFAM mission that's reimbursable on a T mission because they're commercial off the shelf and they're not up to AFAM codes. That's excluding the Skydio X2D, which is allowed on T missions. So you have to do this split. You have the T mission for your transport if you want reimbursement, the easy way. And then you have your C mission, your corporate mission, where all of your sorties go. Okay, so when we dig into the sorties here, it's all ground sorties. Air sorties in this selection doesn't fit with sUAS. This ground sorties option right here is open and malleable. And so you can get in here and actually do what you need to do. Then you have a list of all of your ground sorties for the year. Let's go to our latest, and you would click edit to get in there. So from this main page, you can add personnel to the mission. You can work out the type of sortie, where you're going and where you're coming to. Now, this is a point of contention here. The way we do it is, since you're departing your mission base, you would say, you know, we're leaving KDVT, but you're ultimately coming back to mission base. So your destination is often the place that you're departing. It's not leaving my mission base, I'm going to the mission area. It's I'm leaving base and I'm coming back to base. So departing and destination. Let me get over into brief. So brief sortie here. This is where you enter most of the information about the mission. It doesn't always have to be super comprehensive, and all the categories that don't apply, Austin Worcester has requested that we put NA in all of these categories here. Once you're done with the mission, this debrief sortie down here is what you would click, and you would actually get in and put in the remainder of the information. Pretty straightforward. And then once you brief it and debrief it, it automatically generates a Form 109. It's an automatic form. It's a CSR form. So I want to point out that's a super fast overview, but in the past, I actually created a much more comprehensive WIMRS training. And so if you're in the Google Classroom, go to classwork, and then you go down to oral discussion, and then review WIMRS requirements, view assignment. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, I made one for WIMRS Air Force assigned missions, T missions, and corporate missions. And these are basically step-by-step, hold you by the hand, walk you through the whole thing. No problem. Okay, so, and then just rounding this out then, I have the administrative checklist kind of cheat sheet that you can include in your UIF. And it makes it very easy to just have that handy and file your mission. Okay, so, and everyone can see the administrative checklist. Yep.
Sir?
Okay, so administrative checklist for a WIMRS mission, you brief your transport mission if necessary, won't always be. Brief your C mission for SUAS operations. You upload supporting documentation if needed. Then you do the flight release process. You're filling out your ORM matrix or 62U, securing Lance authorization if needed. Fill out your 99U, that's your flight release form. Then contact an appropriate flight approval authority and actually have UFRO. This could be an FRO with a 107, could be a UFRO, or if you have an IC stood up, you might be overseen by a ground branch director or an air branch director, or even the incident commander themselves. And then, so now you're getting your documents signed, your 62U or your 99U, or, and this is important, or you secure release over the phone, right? You're walking your flight release officer through everything, they verbally approve it, and then you get your signatures at the next opportunity. Okay, and then if available, you upload those signed documents to WIMRS. If not, you follow over to post mission. So, and then here, after RTB, upload your flight logs, your 109U, upload any receipts and amended flight release if required. You debrief the sortie, and then you have these time frames, upload any missing releases within 24 hours. And it says, if unable, the NOC must be informed of extenuating circumstances. They're probably not looking at these sUAS missions that you would have to do that. And yet that's part of the official regs. And upload any missing raw scores within 72 hours, and you're missing sortie data as necessary within another 72 hours. So this document is another one that will go out in the email just because it's handy. Okay, questions on AE activities or WIMRS?
No, sir.
Thank you for the overview, Brett. It always helps.
Certainly.
So Brett, real quickly, this is kind of a local thing. So Brian and I are flying tomorrow. We're meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning at Glendale Library for his check pilot exam. Are you going to be acting as FRO? Because I don't see him on the call today.
Yes, I'm UFRO for that mission.
Okay, good enough. So we're going to be, Robert Gonzalski is going to be his technician. I'll be the examiner. and we're going to meet at Glendale Library. And we're going to, instead of going out to the squadron, because it's closer for everybody, and we will go over the scenario, and he will file a mission sortie from there, and then we'll be proceeding out to the hill. He'll be contacting you as a flight release also.
I was actually just going to meet up with you guys. I was just going to
That's
come for the planning mission.
Okay.
So it's changed to the Foothills Library. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
Because we're gonna do a real life scenario thing. There's some areas we still need to search. So this will be a real good scenario. And that's the way I like to conduct my check rides anyhow.
Yeah, I
Anybody's
love
done
that.
with me, I like to give them a real situation, because just going out and flying the drone is really not showing me anything. I want to see you work through the whole process as if it's a real mission.
That
So,
sounds great.
8:00 in the morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So at this point, we'll just open up. Anybody have anything for discussion at all before we go away? Anything on your mind you want to talk about?
Are we doing our updates with you, or are we just?
You gotta send me a note. Just send me a little email note.
Yeah, I got mine already written out.
And there's no rush on that either, Michael. I mean, because
I already got it. I thought we were doing it in this call, so I already
well,
had it
you
prepared, because I've shared it with leadership here already.
yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about it. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad to run through it real quick. So I made a lot of changes and done a lot of stuff here. Hang on, let me get my screen to act right here. So work closely with national headquarters to ensure that all of our Texas sUAS aircrafts are correct and compliant with FAA, and that all documentation is managed within our Texas logistics. We're going to start doing quarterly photo and visual sUAS inspections, preparing for the Air Force audit in 2023. I am being promoted to Assistant Logistics Officer under Astrid here, and I'm going to work really closely with her to ensure that this is compliant. Most of the members had not been taking care of this, had lost the documentation or whatever happened with it. So I've relocated, and I'm working with headquarters to ensure that each of our 7 groups has at least one sUAS for trainings. I've set standards that members who have CAP assets are to maintain flight and maintenance logs on these assets, and to follow guidelines on the aircraft and battery maintenance. I'm working with wing leadership to create an online portal to maintain these records as well. Worked with the few existing mission pilots we had to make sure that they are up to date and compliant with their FAA requirements, and that they knew and understand the new requirements in CAP 35-6 for the technician and mission pilot ratings and trainings. We have 7 groups here in Texas. Currently, my groups 3, 4, and 6 are hosting their own monthly sUAS trainings. My groups 1, 2, and 5 are scheduled to start shortly. All of our groups will be using sUASs and their SARXs by the second quarter of 2022 as part of their ground trainings. I've qualified 2 sUAS instructors and 2 technicians in each of our groups to continue trainings and qualify other sUAS mission pilots and technicians. I've added 7 new mission pilots, 3 female sUAS pilots, 8 new technicians, and I'm soon to have 15 new technician cadets and 9 new mission pilots. Going to continue working with them to move forward in their training. So we have a total of 17 technicians and 15 mission pilots in our wing. I've created an advanced sUAS team, and I'm collaborating with them on trainings on advanced sUAS ops and platforms, including the fixed wing. I've established agreements and relationships with the FAA and AMA fields all over Texas, where our CAP members have a place to fly and be compliant with federal and state regulations regarding sUAS operations. I've also established standardized procedures for members to follow in regards to flight sortie requirements, flight logbooks, sortie and training exercises, air and ground operations, and sUAS aircraft maintenance procedures. Negotiated with the Texas Wing Chief of Staff. She's given me a small budget to cover my travel expenses to allow me to go to the groups and make sure that the groups are going on with their continued trainings. Also worked to establish groundwork with all the groups and these instructors on new NIST flight trainings that are required by headquarters for our pilots to qualify under 5U. And then lastly, so part of what I do with my company is we train law enforcement, and we have a virtual Part 107 class that we host every Saturday. And I offer this for free with my instructors for first responders. So any of my Texas members that want to become Part 107 pilots, I've invited them to join our class. We have a 95% success rating in helping our law enforcement agencies get their Part 107. So I currently have 3 new senior members that are in our ongoing class that will pass and confidently pass and get their Part 107 within the next 60 days. So.
Real quick, Michael, on the agreements with the AMA fields and stuff like that, are you running that through the wing commander?
No, because it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with CAP. AMA does not want to have any formal agreement with that.
Okay.
It's a matter of their requirements for each field, and each field has their own requirements.
Understood.
And the bottom line is that they have to be AMA members. 3 of the fields that I'm using, I have negotiated a standing COA with the FAA that we don't need Lance approvals in these areas, because we're also hosting drone racing in these areas. So,
Okay.
So it's more of a way to promote our CAP members to become AMA members and get involved in those local fields, and to understand that the long relationship with CAP and AMA. There's no formal agreement between CAP and AMA.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't doing any formal agreements.
No.
Prior.
I wouldn't do
Okay.
that without running it through wing leadership.
Yeah.
It's more of a let's push members to become AMA members, get involved with their local fields that we know are compliant and able to, be able to host their, and most of them have been very receptive of it.
Yeah. And the last thing, we need to get South Texas involved. That's Group 7.
I already am. I'm all over it.
Oh,
Yeah,
but you just didn't have it in the list.
Yeah, it's the last one. That's the last one. I'm working on it now. I actually am working with Astrid today because I'm reclaiming one of the sUASs that nobody's been flying from a member, and I'm going to designate it to Group 7. So they will be the last one.
Okay.
Group 1, I'm getting ready to host my training out there. We're going to have about 50 members coming to that one. Yeah. So
let me know when I'll see if I can swing out there with you.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from the lieutenant colonel right now. She's going to earmark the days, but I have earmarked a female sUAS pilot that is based in that group that I've been mentoring and working with, that she's going to head up and be my instructor out there. But what I'm doing is I'm having 2 instructors in every group and 2 qualified technicians in every group, so they can keep cultivating and growing this with the hopes of, everybody becoming a UAST and incorporating it in the ground sorties.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In case the other people on the call don't know it, we had a death in December in my family, or my wife's family, and I've kind of stepped back and let Michael run it basically for about 4 months now, just sitting back in the wings while I'm taking care of other things. But next month, either February or March, I'll start getting active again. And Group 2 in Texas is going to be active again on monthly trainings and things like that too.
Yeah, Group 2 has now officially got a sUAS instructor that is going to be based out of headquarters. I've already talked with them today. Lieutenant Colonel Mofford is giving him a position. All my instructors are based at group headquarters. But I've got one chosen for there, and he's getting ready to push that. And I'm hopeful that Tyler is going to be my second one.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Mike, I had a question.
Yeah.
The whole AMA field angle is something that I really appreciate the pursuit of. And I have to say that my interaction with our local field is less than stellar. Not that they're not kind of supportive of like the ideas, but they really seem to be dragging their feet in terms of implementation. And so, they have the main area where everyone's flying fixed wing, and all the members basically grumble if you're out there with a drone, like those don't fly right, thems don't go. And so and it's not that I can't fly out there or anyone, but we obviously want a drone side field. And in your scenario, it sounds like are you taking the reins and helping to negotiate those side field COAs?
Yeah.
Is that
I
you
even,
driving it, or is that the
Yeah.
president's also helping you?
no, that's me driving it. Yeah, that's, and I know most of these guys anyways, I do so much law enforcement training and stuff here. I know most of these guys. Now I've had a couple fields that push back, but they're old school guys, they're like, we don't want those toys in our area, but they're open to coming out.
Michael froze.
You froze.
The field I'm at, like split down the middle, where we have the old school guys, and then but we have, the other half that do want to see something like that, something happen, and that the hobby can continue. They see drones as part of that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we would have to take the reins on places that don't have dedicated sUAS or helicopter fields somehow. I don't know. Are you on that? Are you real swift on that, Greg? You kind of know what's going on there?
I have not. I am not. There he
Am I
is.
Oh, go
I was
ahead,
about
Mike.
to send you a text.
I have to ask, what kind of face did I have? I did it again.
It was like
Luckily,
this.
that was a lot worse than the previous one.
So yeah, Brett. So I've had some pushback from some of the old school guys about, hey, don't bring those toys out here, But I've had a lot of conversations with the guys, and I've talked with AMA headquarters, and they're pro cap. They really love us. And I also went this far as to the new members that are signing up. I've asked them to put my name in who referred you as some leverage to go back to AMA headquarters and go, look, we brought on this many new members. What kind of perk or whatever, what can we get out of cap? Not so much a dollar figure, but maybe some media presentation of a partnership or something, you know what I mean? And so it's a lot of it's me personally just reaching out to the presidents and VPs of the fields and talking with them.
So you talk to AMA, you say, this is what we're looking to do with the field. Then you talk to the president and say, hey, I have an in with the FAA and I can probably expedite a COA. And then with the president, you identify the area and you agree. And then you run that up to the FAA.
Yeah, I took it a little bit further than that because several of the locations I'm using are city-owned parks. So I'll take the one, like I'm hosting one Saturday, Carrollton, Texas. It is a softball park that has a field in there. We do the drone racing league stuff there as well. So I got a COA, established a COA for up to 400 feet within this boundary that we do not need Lance. And what we do is I schedule it out 3 months in advance so it doesn't counter the drone racing league stuff. But I have direct permissions with the city of Carrollton, Texas, as well as I've got that standing COA with the FAA to fly in there. So yeah, it's been me utilizing the contacts that I have in the FAA, the knowledge that I have, to negotiating to, get permissions from the field owners, whether it be AMA or, city owned, and then just kind of putting it all together.
So you're not, and correct me if I'm wrong, so you're actually kind of bolting on your own personal COAs. You're not maybe establishing for the fields a COA for them?
No, they're not. My company is not tied into this any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that I'm utilizing my knowledge and connections to create a COA. That COA is just for us, for the Drone Racing League, to fly in and around on this property, which I've tagged cap on using.
So the COA is not owned by the field, the AMA field. It's owned by the Drone Racing League.
Yeah, and I'm listed as the POC.
Okay. Thank you for elaborating on that.
Yeah, it's working really well. It's working really well. It covers all the bases of having permissions to fly there, covering AMA, getting more CAP members to join AMA, as well as, the property owners.
Yep.
Well, it's very impressive what you guys are doing in Texas. I'm very envious of you, and we hope that we could do that in Arizona as well. would anyone else like to speak about their wing and what they're doing here? Again, you can send me a note via email. That's fine as well. But if you want to boast about it, that's fine. So I know that
Mike had the showstopper right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work. We needed some organization here in Texas, and I'm telling you, this is going to blow out here. We're in, like Louisiana, we're right in the middle of where all of this is going to happen. And I know from the state side that if we don't have our stuff together here, the state will never allow CAP members to fly any FEMA missions here. So I know that, and that's why I've started to put the structure together. And let's be honest, I don't know who's on this call, but let's be honest. Not every CAP member is going to be a mission pilot that's going to fly FEMA missions.
Right.
Ultimately, it's an aerospace extension of the aerospace education program. We want to get people to move to be manned pilots if possible. We want to let those senior members that aren't manned pilots be able to earn a set of wings. But there's only going to be a select few that are going to be on an advanced sUAS team that are going to be deployed for FEMA stuff, but I'm envisioning that we really embed this in our ground sorties, because we're always going to need those technicians. And then if you do have an incident, no matter where is the group, you've got several highly qualified mission pilots that you just drop into there. I think that's more realistic that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And one thing, Michael, I was going to tell you about this, the February SARX, they do want to use, have 1 or 2 drone flights during that. So we'll use that. We'll go ahead and use the training mission for the flights.
Yeah,
and
it's in there.
do all that.
I'm actually waiting for wing leadership to approve it. It's sitting in there waiting.
Oh, I know. I'll give Hammock a call, or you can send him an email.
I actually sent him an email today and said, hey,
Okay.
we approve this because we want to start using and get going.
Yeah, I don't want to step on their toes. I actually have it up on my screen where it says approve, disapprove.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I prefer that he jump in and approve it. So, but I sent him an email today and said, hey, you take a look and approve it so we can start using it.
Yep.
So.
Hey, Mike, for legit FEMA missions, are you expecting that CAP will be held to the FEMA sUAS typing standards that can be found online, as in 72-hour bag, deployable for 2 weeks, et cetera?
I believe so. In all the FEMA calls, I sit on 2 of the governor's task force here in Texas that works very closely with Texas Emergency Management. So I'm trying to follow those same protocols to get our CAP members to that. So yeah, I really believe so, because at this point, FEMA will have no say in it. Texas Department of Emergency Management is going to have a say in it. And if we don't have a qualified set team that follows those guidelines that FEMA has set out, they'll never allow them to fly here. And I don't want to see our members get embarrassed like that. So yeah. I'm following that protocol, because from what I understand from the FEMA calls I'm in and on the state level, that's going to be the standard. That's the baseline.
Right. And that's also what Austin said over the past couple of briefings that I've heard is, yes, we follow FEMA standards.
Yeah, FEMA's really coming up to speed on the sUAS knowledge. So I really foresee, they're going to start holding, emergency management teams to that minimum level. I mean, even here in Texas, we've taken it a way step further with our legislators, for how our first responders interact with the, emergency management teams.
How do you reconcile that deployability up to 2 weeks with the CAP membership and external factors in private lives?
Well, that's kind of difficult to do, as you know. I mean, we can't force our members to do anything, just like logbooks. I can't force them to follow a particular logbook. I could just highly recommend that they keep a logbook, and however they do it, write it on paper. I even went out and showed on Amazon. I don't have mine around here, but a logbook that I got that is for sUAS that follows manned aircraft. So that's the difficult part here, Brett, is we really can't force our members to, but I'll share this with you guys. I've been selecting and qualifying an advanced sUAS team, guys I know that got experience in fixed wing, high ends, understand these ops. I've worked with some of them in the field, so I'm continuing to train them. These are the people that understand that when you get deployed to these areas, your resources are extremely limited, and you don't want to put more pressure and strain on the incident. You're there to support the incident. So
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of you finding the right people for your advanced team, educating them, and kind of leave it in their hands. You know what I mean? I think most of the people that you put in that position, and probably everybody on this call, you understand what it takes when you get dropped into a scenario like that, and you don't want to tax on the limited resources that are there. But we can't really force our members to. We just got to be hopeful that, they understand and respect it,
Yeah, and just to let you know, on the personal life side of it, some companies look at CAP as they would volunteer firefighters, National Guard. My company actually has it codified in the employee handbook that Civil Air Patrol is treated the same way. So if I get deployed if I get called for a mission and need to be gone for 2 weeks, I give let my boss know. We do some quick shifting around, and if I can go.
Look, I believe
That's
this,
awesome.
and I respect what headquarters does and what Austin has done and what Pedro does. But really, at the end of the day, guys, if we don't set the precedence and better to ask for forgiveness and get our programs up to speed, it's our citizens of our state and our region that are going to not benefit for the reason that we're all in CAP. I really believe we've got to have structure and organization. And I, for one, I'm fortunate enough that I play on both sides of the fence. So I understand what it's going to take, for CAP in Texas to be able to be supportive of these things. I think as we all have learned, national headquarters is slow on the draw to respond. But I'll tell you this, in my months of working with Pedro and Austin, they've been very receptive in the structure and changes that I've been making in Texas. And it hasn't been a question at all, so I really think that, especially those of us that are on this call, we understand what needs to be done. And I think that, as long as we keep moving forward and put some standardization to this, I think that the Southwest region by far is going to be the gem in CAP, and CAP's going to go, oh, hey, look at what they're doing in the Southwest region.
Yeah.
I think some of what you said, and especially in terms of real impact to the citizens of your home state, some of those lines you could definitely take straight to Congress for the National Congressional Day.
I think so too. I really believe it, and I speak on my soapbox all the time about that. We're there for a purpose. We're all trained to do these things, so let's just get out and do it. Ask for forgiveness after the fact if we need to, within reason. I mean, I use that term loosely.
Right.
I always love that the congressional mandate part of it says that CAP is to help train the citizens so that we can maintain air superiority.
Yeah.
If we can have a real impact on that.
And if you talk to CAP leadership, I've had some conversations with some people that they're envisioning that sUAS is going to take over everything. That's never going to happen.
No.
But they have this grandiose vision of that, right? It's never going to happen. It's going to be in addition to the ground sorties, manned air sorties. It's just another tool in the toolbox that allows us to help our citizens, recover quicker.
How many of us have been getting those gripes from manned aviation? And it's like, I want us to work together. I would never want it only drones, and especially even just the joy of aviation when you're up there in the clouds and you're serving your country. So,
and you know what I've been doing, Brett, to kind of counter that is I've been saying, look, in CAP and in general, I do a lot of public speaking about this. I talk to kids a lot, and I really tell them about how learning to fly UAS in our national airspace leads that pathway into manned aviation, whether they want to take a commercial or a military pathway. but that's all it is.
Yeah.
It gives that pathway to go into manned aircraft. And that's what I tell all our CAP guys. Look, we want to take our cadets, move them from technicians, teach them about the national airspace, give them some flight time with sUAS, and let's move them into the manned aircraft portion of CAP. Let's get them to be manned pilots. And it's a great segue to get them out, to get them moving and get them in there. And it seems to be receptive. I get those things every day too. Oh, hey, get those toys out of here. Yeah, well, this $35,000 toy might find you on your house that you can't get out of, So it's kind of funny how that happens. But, I just think that we just keep educating people and know that it's just another tool in the bag,
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question in the chat. It's from Captain Stallnaker, and I think that's we actually have a cadet with us today, and so he's asking, do you have to be 16 to get qualified? And so no, you can fly recreationally at any age. You can be a technician at any age, but once you want to progress to the commercial side, the operations side, you do have to get a 107 license, and then that is requirement of 16 years old. That unlocks the remainder of the path for you.
And I'll share with you guys, I've got 2 cadets that I'm going to start this weekend. I'm going to pull them in my Part 107 program, because they want to get their Part 107 license. We have a 95% success rating nationally for this, and I offer it for free for our first responders. And I got 2 cadets this weekend that I'm going to pull into that because they just turned 16. And yeah, they want to do it. But you're right, Brett. And I'm getting everybody to take the trust test. Okay, I don't care if you're a Part 107 or not. I think it's a great refresher course. I think we need to show our cadets and those that want to be mission pilots, that those of us that fly a lot, we take the initiative to, be further educated. And it's been really receptive. Everybody's glad to do it,
Mike, do you think it'd be appropriate? Would DOUs be allowed to audit that 107 course, or is that fairly locked down for Texas?
I would not allow that. This is my company. This is what I do for a living, right? And I make money from this. So I don't want anybody auditing it because they will take and replicate it, because I offer this for free for first responders. Okay. That's my way for my company to give back. And I have to pay my instructors. And I wouldn't be interested in letting anybody audit it. As you know, there's so much free information out there that anybody can formulate their own program. But I stay pretty tight with this because, it costs me money, but I offer for free for first responders.
Yeah, I've been pushing them to the King School because I didn't know about your 107 class.
Hey, yeah, Greg, if you got any Texas members of CAP, the only thing I ask is, they reach out to me and, I'll talk to them. But we're scheduled for the whole year. Our virtual classes are held every Saturday. And we got a 95% success rate. We've pumped hundreds of first responders out of it. So it's a great program. And I've got some that have come back a couple times because they haven't made passed the test. But if you have any Texas CAP members, let me know. And I'll tell you this, I'm willing to talk with the Arizona wing. We can talk about this a little further to see how I can help you guys out. Because I've only offered this to the Texas wing for now, but I'm willing to talk to you, those of you that are on the call, to if you've got some members that want to get their Part 107. I'm willing to talk to you guys as long as they're CAP members.
We appreciate extending that branch of help, and certainly, whatever you're within the confines of what you're comfortable, we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, if you guys got CAP members that want their Part 107, send them to me. I'm glad to get them hooked up. Like I said, our classes are scheduled all the way through the end of the year. It takes about 8 weeks to get through our course before you're spun out and go take your test. So you can come back anytime and come back into it. So, but yeah, I'm glad to talk with you guys if you want to reach out to me and if you got some members that want to do that.
Yeah, I just sent you one.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Email.
Okay. Yeah. Just have them reach out to me. I'm glad to help support CAP in that way. And let's get some more Part 107 pilots out of. We got so much going on in the UAS industry, especially here in Texas. we've got so much being a testing ground for NASA and the FAA. I can't tell you, my schedule is booked up for the next month of calls with NASA and the FAA and stuff. We have so much going on here. I highly recommend anybody getting their Part 107 license if they're interested in this industry.
Can I ask you a rapid fire question?
Sure.
Okay, what's first answer, your favorite autopilot? Ardu pilot, QG, or excuse me, Q ground control, or Arterion?
I like Q ground control. Okay. It's kind of a toss up, you know, between autopilot and Q ground control. You know, that's one of those questions that you just got to shoot and hit with, you know what I mean? I think it becomes down to the user and what their knowledge is of it, you know.
That and what works with the equipment you're using at that time.
Right.
So are you going to repurpose? I know Event 38 has the, you know, the mission planner specific profile for the plane.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
going to repurpose it, or at least try to, for Q ground control, and not even worry about it?
Not at this point. I didn't want to, you know. I just don't want to do it because I got a couple fixed wing guys that are in my 107 program that I've been working with them on a technician level with the E38. I don't really want to do that just yet. Not to mention, I didn't know what CAPS protocols were about switching that. You know what I mean? I really want to get my guys up to a level playing field. So if we do get called out, one, we've got the asset. Two, I got the team that can support it and do it, you know. So I've thought about it, but it's not something really high on my radar just yet to kind of, you know, make that change.
Okay, fair enough. So guys, are we having, now these are going to be quarterly Southwest region meetings? And then Mike, is there still a potential where you're wanting to congregate DOUs for a monthly meeting? Is that right?
Which you, for me?
No, he
Which
does a Texas wing monthly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do a monthly here in Texas, just to educate, bring people in, let them know what's going on, you know, make sure everybody's on the same platform. I just think that, you know, as you see from the unfortunate turnout, you know, I think what would work best, and I shared with Don, is let's hold these meetings to leaderships in the wings so we can filter back and kind of drive the reins, so to speak, in what's going on in our own programs. You know what I mean? Versus, you know, we get 100 people invited that don't show up to these calls anyways, you know. And like I said to Don, that's my unsolicited penny-and-a-half-cent comments, you know.
Yeah, again, it's our program. It's not my program. So whatever you guys want to do. There was a conversation had some last year that we were having too many meetings, because I'm complaining because God, we only have 10, 12 participants out of a 6-state area. Well, you don't understand, sir. We got so many other meetings that we're doing, work meetings. So
Yeah.
we decided to go to quarterly.
Yeah.
But
And I've even had that problem here of people going, hey, I've got my squadron meeting on that day. And so I set the third Thursday of the month as the day. And if you can join, great, you know. But really for this, I think we probably would get more benefit, especially with what the things that you share, Brett, in the Google Classroom. You know, if we hold this to a leadership type meeting, you know, so that way, because we all know our members, maybe it's different than what Arizona Wing or Louisiana Wing's doing or whatever, you know what I mean? I just think that if we hold these meetings for Southwest region leadership, I think we'll be more effective in being able to push and promote and get our members involved. So that's just my opinion.
well, it's kind of what actually happened today. I mean, it's pretty much leadership hosting this meeting. The rest of the people were basically sitting in the audience if they weren't responding to anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know what would be any different.
Yeah, other than you having to sit and type in 100 emails addresses for people that just don't show up.
Well, I won't be doing that again. I did it this time, like I said, for a reason, to see if people, just checking to see if people have been notified.
Yeah.
So apparently they probably are being notified, but they just don't have an interest.
Yeah. I don't know.
Next time, I'm leaving it up to you guys to notify your people.
Yeah, I'm open to listen to what you guys think about it, but I think it's better that we do what we're doing here and we have those higher level talks to make sure that everybody's educated on what's new and what's going on. Because is Austin even going to do his updates anymore? I mean, he's really pulled out of the picture, and I just don't see Pedro doing that.
Well, I'm going to have a conversation with Pedro, but I think Austin's completely out of the program.
Yeah.
Bob
Yeah.
Gonzalski, I think, talked to Pedro recently. Bob's on the call right now too, and I think that he said Pedro's taking over everything that Austin was doing.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
Involved in the program at all.
Yeah.
Well, if we did have just the higher level meetings, I mean, that would certainly work, and we'd all be able to talk about the challenges we're facing. And, you could adjust, like you're saying, the content, where instead of just a general, this is what we're doing, or something targeted to an audience that's just trying to get interested in drones, we could really grind down into the technicalities.
I think that's smart. I think that
Yeah.
utilizing everybody's expertise in that, and maybe have a short period in there where you brief what's going on in your wings. So if you have an issue like the X2D, what are you guys doing with it? Or, I really think that will be more beneficial of all of our time by hosting that, to go back to our wings and do that. And then, another thing I want to say with Greg being moved up to the deputy spot in the region, I think we need to utilize him more, not just in the region, but outside of the region, because I have talks with the Michigan wing because they don't know things to do with the X2D. I have conversations with the Connecticut wing because they just don't know what to do. So, I think that, especially since I've taken over the DOU duties here in Texas, I really think we need to be utilizing Greg to helping like the Wyoming wing. I had somebody reach out for me, a member from the Wyoming wing, and go, hey, look, we'd like to start an sUAS program here, but we don't know how, So, so I've been trying to like pull him in and say, okay, here's what we do, here's what we go. But, I think we need to be using him to really to reach out. And if, CAP says they want to blow this program out, we got so many untouched areas, Colorado, Utah, even the Oklahoma guys are reaching out to me going, hey, how do we do this? How do we do that? Which I don't mind helping. Okay. But I think that, we need to utilize him in that aspect to really reach out further into, California for one. I have conversation with the guys in California. They want to do their own thing, but I think we really need to utilize him to, let's get the Southwest region just pumping on all cylinders.
I agree. Yeah, getting Southwest region up. The thing is, we need to focus on our region. Yeah, if other regions ask, we give them the help that we can, but we can't fly all over the nation doing training, getting them going. But within our region, we can travel within our region and getting them going. I'm due to go up to Oklahoma again this spring, and I want to sit down with them, go through everything, make sure they're up to date on everything, and
Rick's
possibly
doing
even do.
Job up there. Yeah, Rick's doing a phenomenal job up there.
Yes.
I just know that I have a lot of people from California reaching out to me because California is just so fragmented. They don't know what they're doing. Half of them want to run and do their own thing. We can't have that. We got to have everybody on a standard platform that's at least pumping on most of the cylinders. And I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many emails and Facebook messages and stuff LinkedIn messages I get a week going, hey, cap this, cap that. So, I think we really need to be focused on that and maybe using these calls to invite those leaders to come into these calls, to help them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not so much the members, but let's utilize leadership in those wings to go, hey, look, this is what we're trying to, because really, I mean, for me down here, and I've said this to Pedro and Austin both, having one sUAS to a group for training just doesn't work. Okay.
Right.
But I'm making it work. Okay. And I think that if we make these things work, that gives us a powerful entity to go back to headquarters and go, look, you want to invest money in sUAS? We need this. Okay. We're pumping on all cylinders. We're showing you it can be done.
Yeah.
It can be more effective if you start investing in assets for us, right? Pedro agrees with me, but I think that if we just need to get the Southwest region just pumping, get leadership in there, let's get them to start doing their programs. Let's start building technicians and using technicians in every ground sortie. And let's just really start pushing this in the Southwest region,
Right.
because then everybody else is going to follow what we're doing.
Make us the gold standard. Lieutenant McIntyre has a question. It looks like has his hand raised.
Yeah, just kind of want to switch gears. You know, here in Arkansas, we're still fledgling. You know, I mean, we're getting there, but one of the things that have been brought up is to do like a flight clinic. Is without having to reinvent the wheel, is there already any documentation or syllabus to follow for a flight clinic?
Look at Greg's Google Classroom.
Well, that's actually Brett's, but yeah.
Or Brett's, I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's what I'm sorry, I meant to say. Sorry, Brett, no disrespect.
No worries.
And that's another thing I want to share with you too is, you know how many people have come to me and said, Google Classrooms, what is that? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we have all of this in place. It's just, there's not enough of us out there standing on our soapbox going, okay, let's standardize this. Enough with squadrons holding their own meetings. Let's do it at group level, wing levels, you know, and that's what I've been doing in Texas, is build that structure out. Because if we have that structure, it's easier for us to standardize it, maintain it, and use the tools like Brett's Classroom that's there, right? Host special meeting, you know, once a quarter sessions where Brett does a presentation on it or something, you know. But there's so many that have no idea where to find the information, or the information even exists.
Where to
It's true,
start,
and they
period.
trickle in. They kind of trickle in. We're up to 240 total students that have access to Classroom, and I'm sure it'll continue to grow. But I wonder what the upper threshold is. And I think Hawk Mountain right now has the crown at like over 300, nearing 400 for their Ranger School Google Classroom.
Wow.
I will, to Jonathan's point, you know, the Google Classroom, it's heavy on education, and then there's a lot of suggestions near the top of each task about how to evaluate the member. But then CAP has an actual flight clinic document targeted at manned aviation that you may or may not be able to repurpose for sUAS. And actually, Charles Ryan pointed that out, and I just haven't taken the time to see, you know, this, and this. Now, when you look at someone like Mr. Hill and, you know, Collins and some of the other heavy hitters, they have their own way they like to do the clinic, and they, you know, understand the flow intrinsically of how these things shape up.
Realistically, it should be involved in every ground sortie that is. Every person should be a technician, okay? Because you need a mission pilot, you drop them in, but you got 10 to support whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I really think that we need to be pushing. I'm trying to push that here in Texas, that let's get everybody to be technicians, you know, and then you want to be a mission pilot? Great. You know, I just think that inundating the masses with that is going to be our best for it. And realistically, ground sorties as a technician, that should be hand in hand.
We're getting close to the top of the hour too.
Yeah. All right. Well, very insightful. Texas, you guys are doing a great job. Brett's doing a great job on this end. Some of the other folks didn't get to speak about what they were doing, so they'll share with me on an email so I can report that back to Southwest Region. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Any final comment from anybody before we close out?
I have one final comment.
Go ahead.
So, and no offense to you, Don, I can't be notified a day before our meetings. Okay. My schedule runs so tight. So if we could like pick out days in advance, you know, and give us advance notice of these meetings, that would be really helpful for me, for one. I had to cancel my board meeting tonight. So, cause I wanted to be on this call, it was important for me, but for me, I could really use that advanced knowledge of when these calls are going to be.
Roger that. So we've been meeting on the second Thursday of the month since we started 2 years ago, but we just finally went to a quarterly meeting versus so again, second Thursday of the month for 2 years. So, and I noticed that if you send a meeting notice out a week or so in advance, most people are not like you. You'll note it on your calendar.
Yeah.
Most people just like forget about it. It's like, I forgot about it. Forgot y'all have a meeting today. And so that's why recently, I just kind of sent a notice out like 2 days before I send a meeting notice out. But yeah, whatever.
So
we
what are we thinking in March now?
I'm thinking April, second week of April.
So that would be like
I'm
the
going
fourth,
to the second quarter.
we're talking like the 14th or the 7th.
Whatever that Thursday would be, but it could be
The
on
7th.
another day too. If there's another day that works better, because we've got 11 participants here. So is there another day that works better for everybody?
Yeah,
No,
that'd be
I
the
think
14th.
the day seems to be okay. It's just like we were talking, the interest really.
Yeah.
So sorry to just add one more thing. Actually, Michael reminded me of this, and just when we're talking about generating relationships with other wings, he reminded me that my relationship with Michigan Wing has yielded actually this access to their YouTube right here. I've been on the Up and Up, and so they have posted all of these tasks that they did in a recent class, I think about 3 or 4 months ago, and they're all videos. And just I don't know if they've been using the Google Classroom, but you'll note that some of my material on the AZ Wing has been able to help them too. And so they use, say, O-5001 for their own training. And it's really this this relationship that builds and grows. So here's the link if you want to go to their YouTube channel. If not able to get there, it's, let me just get the exact name. It's called.
Have you been talking to Christy up there?
It's called Michigan Wing sUAS MP and Technicians. What was that?
Have you been talking to Christy? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Kirschke. She's up there, and they just got the X2D like 2 days ago. Have no idea. They're allowed to have it until April, and she's been messaging me like how to do maps and stuff. But I don't know if you're having conversation with her. She really needs help. I've been trying to help her as best as I can.
Okay, I have to reach out to them again then.
Yeah, because they were just given the X2D and they've got until April to be able to train on it, and they really have no idea. So like I said, I've been messaging her the last couple of weeks, trying to help her as best as I can.
Copy that.
I'll go check out their YouTube channel. I didn't know they had a YouTube channel. That's good.
Yeah.
Just copying your link you put up there, Brett.
Perfect. More training materials, more better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask this before we go. So would it be helpful, you think, to have Pedro come onto one of these calls? Because everything we said here, if I was to relay that to Pedro, it doesn't relay like coming from your mouth and your face talking. That's more impactful than
If we can get him on the call, that's even better. I know he's busy.
Get him on the
Let's
call.
see. He's also an hourly employee of Civil Air Patrol.
Right.
So we've got to take that into consideration.
I think if we're going to do that, I think we don't have him on every one, but maybe we invite him to pick a topic he wants to discuss, and he's a guest speaker like we've done with Austin,
Yeah.
And let him choose when he can come in, what his topic is, and just kind of slow roll him into us instead of us ganging up on him. Going, hey, this, because then he won't ever come back,
Yeah.
I'm going to run that by him.
Shooting gallery.
Something he would like to talk about, and I can pull it out to the DOUs. I'll send that out to the if he does want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let him pick the time, and if you have the time to listen in, good. If you don't,
The same thing you did with Austin, and Austin most times wouldn't come. But if there's a topic he wants to talk about, like for Pedro, his top thing, battery maintenance. I can't tell you how many conversations him and I have about that, because they're tired of replacing batteries because the sUASs are not being used and not being maintained. So maybe there's a topic that he wants to come and discuss, and we just give him the opportunity.
I will run that by him.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Well, let's conclude, and everybody have a stay safe and stay away from that nasty virus.
Yep.
So,
and I do have this session was recorded, so I'll send you the link, Don, after we're done, or tomorrow.
Well, thanks to everybody that attended. You're all appreciated in this program, so it means a lot. So,
yep, good to see you guys.
Go ahead and sign out. Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Yep.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.